Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, the Democrats have so many slogans. They have so many talking points, so many points of rhetoric that are familiar. And the one thing you'll hear all the time is that the Democrat Party is the party of competence, the party of science, the party of academia and smart people with college degrees and relevant leadership experience. The claim essentially is that they're the adults in the room, the qualified experts. That's what they run on every single election, but then what do you actually get? 4 years of an 80-year-old man falling apart at the frickin' seams, followed by a total DEI hire vice president who can't string a coherent sentence together. It's all an illusion of superiority. And right now the curtain has been pulled and that illusion is fully exposed. We're now in the aftermath of the Joe Biden and even now Kamala Harris cover-up, and the truth of just how bad it really was is now coming to light with a podcaster telling the truth about his interaction with Kamala Harris. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so a new viral clip is making the rounds. Take a look at this.
They emailed me.
They got an email from the
DNC.
Okay.
And they said, hey, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are really interested in being on your show. I said, that sounds cool. So I said yes, based on the fact that it would be a good story, and also they both had good takes. But they flew me out there, and it was like some weird little rally. They made us do it on their bus, on their tour bus.
Makes sense. And what happened with Kamala?
Her take was really confusing and weird and not good. Mutually agreed that we shouldn't publish it. And I got lucky because I didn't want to be blamed for her losing.
Her take was that bad?
It was really, really bad, and it was like didn't make any sense. I can tell you, it was bacon as a spice. Bacon as a spice.
Bacon as a spice.
Bacon as a spice.
You think that was her opinion, or you think she had like a research group try to figure something that's
research group? Originally, the take that I was pitched was great, and it was that she does not like to take her shoes off on airplanes.
Okay.
And I was like, 100% disagree. You better be taking the shoes off. And then at the last minute, I think research group said, this makes you look rich and snobby.
Okay.
And you need to appeal to the American people. So she went with the bacon. And I tried to pause the interview and say, trust me, we shouldn't do the bacon thing. And I was overrided by this guy. I said, all right, we'll do bacon. And then an hour later, I got a call that said, we can't do bacon. I said, I know you can't do bacon.
So Kamala Harris did a podcast with a bunch of liberal creators called Subway Takes, which is hosted by Kareem Rama. And of course, this was yet again part of Kamala Harris 2024's campaign push, together with all these Gen Z podcasters in an effort to make her look relatable or cool. You know, Kamala Harris is young and hip, yo. She's down for the box wine. And so in this case, she showed up to do this podcast, and it was apparently so bad, so unsalvageable, that they mutually agreed not to release it. Kamala Harris going in probably again on another insane word salad adventure. See, bacon is spice, guys. Bacon is a spice. Yeah, apparently Kamala Harris was trying to convince them that bacon is a spice. She was also probably trying to convince them that the world's greatest song ever composed is The Wheels on the Bus Go Round and Round. But yeah, just unsalvageable, I guess really is the word. And now as the curtain is being pulled back and we see what really happened behind the scenes, well, this on top of everything else we've already uncovered, well, it's more details to the story of the entire press apparatus spending years propping up these absolute clowns, carefully managing every public interaction. Every moment is staged, everything's a photo op. Here, Madam Future President, go on the Breakfast Club and tell them about your hot sauce in your purse. Same freaking nonsense with Kamala Harris, just putting her in these hyper-controlled, super soft environments, and probably doing a whole lot of volume with it, probably heading in with a contract that states that we get to choose whether it airs or not, and then eventually hope that for one interview, Kamala Harris will be able to pull it together. And what I mean by pull it together is make a total fake news presentation, a total stitch work. Just remember during the last election when she did that famous 60 Minutes interview. I mean, that was her best moment, right? It didn't exactly go well with Bret Baier.
But talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it.
No, this 60-minute interview, I mean, this was her trump card during the election, but then we find out that it was edited to hell, cut into pieces, and even then it still barely made sense. And now we find out that the network's parent company, Paramount, was just forced to pay a $16 million settlement to the Trump team after being accused of election interference. They came in and totally chopped up that interview to make it seem like Kamala Harris was competent in answering questions effectively, and meanwhile this is the party that says you're dumb, you're uneducated, and your president is incompetent. The same Democrats who spent years interfering for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Oh, look at the job titles. Kamala Harris has certainly been around, I'll tell you that much. She certainly collected a lot of fancy sounding job titles. She collects them like frickin' Pokemons. But what has she actually done? When has she done anything even remotely impressive? Well, the answer is never. She's a big fat zero. But the media acted like she was political Jesus as they looked down on working class people. You're dumb, you're uneducated, you're low information. We're smart, we're voting for Kamala Harris. You're the dumb person for voting for Donald Trump. You know, they mock his vocabulary, they call him a moron, but here's the basic truth. Trump ran literal circles around all these people. I mean, President Trump ran the country like a machine between 2017 and 2020. I'd argue he was having one of the most successful terms ever, right until COVID hit, which obviously skewed the numbers. And really, I don't think it should take away from his track record, but they tell you he's incompetent. He doesn't have the experience. No, not like Kamala Harris. You gotta trust us, the same geniuses who ran cover for an old man who was sniffing children on camera. I mean, these people ought to be ashamed of themselves. The Democrat Party and their media establishment foot soldiers, their talking heads at CNN, MSNBC, The Washington Post, The New York Times, you name it. All these foot soldiers working overtime to polish this complete turd, this turd sandwich, and sell it to the public as a historic and groundbreaking presidential ticket. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I mean, everything they did, everything they touched was powerful. What a powerful moment. They told you this was the best America can offer. They told you Joe Biden was sharp, that he had a plan, that everything was going according to plan, thanks to Bidenomics. Everybody should pray to the altar of Bidenomics. But all of it was just dirty layers of propaganda laundry stacked on top of each other to make it seem like this senile puppet of an old man, and again his totally incompetent DEI hire VP, as if they even remotely had their crap together, and the entire celebrity class, the blue checkmark journalists, all the late night hosts and the TikTok influencer and all the paid off comedians and washed up actors. You people ought to be ashamed of yourselves the way you lined up to sell this ridiculous fantasy from back to the 2020 election to today. They called you a fascist, they called you a bigot, they called you an idiot. Meanwhile, they threw their full weight behind the most embarrassingly unqualified White House duo I think ever seen. And they knew it was bad. They saw it firsthand from behind the scenes. They knew that what they were propping up, what they were doing, was a complete fraud, and they did it anyways while lecturing you. You're the bad one. You're the idiot. You're the one with no morals. You're the one who should be ashamed of who you voted for. No, you people should be ashamed of yourselves for dealing in state-level propaganda and propping up the biggest doofuses known to mankind. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.